It's one of the world's most prestigious awards. So, why was KK Shailaja, the former health minister of Kerala, made to turn down the Magsaysay Award? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. Our big focus today is on the former health minister, described by the international media as a rock star during the pandemic. Tip to get the Magsaysay Award, Miss KK Shailaja, known as Shailaja Teacher, turned it down. The CPM, her party, did not approve. Several reasons have been given for this decision. Among them, people are asking, was this just a case of the CPM being an insecure boys' club? Remember, KK Shailaja was easily one of the best performing ministers during the pandemic, received global acclaim, even acclaim from her political opponents for her handling of the COVID crisis, but she did not even get a second term as health minister. The CPM at that time cited party policy. An exception was made only for the chief minister, Pinarayi Vijayan, who, of course, is the chief minister again. The Magsaysay Award now has been turned down. Shailaja, school teacher herself, is indicating that she's gone along with the party consensus and has no quarrels. But it's time to ask the party that says it stands for progressive values, is it being illiberal, and in fact, is it being sexist? Let us introduce our guests on the program today. Tavleen Singh, author and trenchant columnist, is back with us. It's great to see you always, Tavleen. We're also joined by Mr. KJ Alphons, who's, of course, a very prominent leader from the state of Kerala, a leader of the BJP and a former union minister. It's good to see you. Joining us on the program today is Maimoona Mollah, who's, of course, with the All India Democratic Women's Association, which is affiliated to the CPM. It's great to see you, ma'am. And also joining us is Tara Krishnaswamy, who is the co-founder of Political Shakti, fighting for increased representation for women in politics. Now, before I get first comments from all of you, let me play out the official position of the party as explained by Sitaram Yechuri, who cited a number of different reasons for why Shailaja basically said thank you, but no thank you to the Magsaysay. Listen.
This award was being given for the manner in which public health issues have been managed in Kerala. Now, this is a collective effort of the LDF government and the Department of Health in Kerala. So this is not any individual effort in that sense. Secondly, the Magsaysay Award has not been given to any active politician so far. Comrade Shailaja is a member of our Central Committee, which is the highest decision-making body of our party. And she is active in politics. Thirdly, this award is in the name of Magsaysay, who has the history of brutal oppression of the communists in the Philippines. So for all these factors together, politely she has refused them.
So several different reasons there, and let me actually get Maimoona Mollah to respond first as a women's rights activist. There are things that you join the dots. She was not given a second term. The CPM argued that it doesn't repeat its leaders, but an exception was made for the chief minister. Now she's urged to turn down an award for her individual effort. It should be a team effort. At the same time, it's argued that Magsaysay was anti-communist. As a woman, are you comfortable with how Shailaja has been treated?
First of all, I object to the kind of trolling that happened just now while you were, telecasting Comrade Sitaram Yechuri's message. Insecure boys club and historic blunder, etc.
So that's not trolling. That's just asking a question. That's asking a question. We can ask the question.
Okay, you put it whichever way you like. So first of all, we are not going into the Kerala elections and who was the candidate and what were the exceptions. Today, as I know, as I have been told, the issue is Magsaysay Award. And yes, Shailaja refused it. Shailaja herself, I mean, you can't say Sitaram forced her to, or the party forced her to refuse the award or say thank you, no thank you. Shailaja is herself is a very important leader. She is a party central committee member of CPIM. So to say that somebody forced her is not correct. Shailaja is part of the committee that takes crucial decisions. And Shailaja knows how party functions, how who takes the awards and who does not. You know very well our party leaders do not accept awards. All of you know that. Even Comrade Surjit had, if I remember correctly, had politely refused the Lenin Prize. Uh,
But
if you,
she did receive an award which was backed by the Open Society's George Soros, and she said that
yeah.
that was for a collective effort. And in fact, she said to the Week magazine, "I did not go there to accept the award. The university just declared it," explaining. You just said she didn't accept any awards, but in this particular case, this award, ma'am, was accepted.
So, do you think she accepted the award in spite of party saying no? No, that's not correct. And then the other thing, Barkha, is that there is not. It's not one single reason. There are many reasons together which have contributed to her politely refusing the award. The third one is uh, the award has been instituted in the name of Ramon Magsaysay, who has uh, uh, who was a critic, or rather an enemy of the communists in Philippines. And
Okay.
definitely we could not have taken an award given in his name.
Okay.
So all three reasons together have gone into Shailaja refusing the award. She's a very dear
Okay.
comrade. We respect her very much, and we know that she herself is the one who is part of decision making, and the party has decided that.
Okay, I can see Ranjana Kumari joining us as well. Welcome. Let me get Mr. KJ Alphons and then go to Tavleen and Ranjana and Tara. Mr. Alphons, it's a kind of peculiar situation for the opposition to the left in Kerala, because to say that the CPM has not been fair to Shailaja, you would have to acknowledge that she did a good job as health minister. So you're walking a thin line here, even if you choose to criticize the left's decision. But the Magsaysay Award, I would think, notwithstanding Miss Mollah's argument that Magsaysay was against communists, is a globally prestigious award. It would have been prestigious for the country for an Indian politician to receive it. What do you make of this controversy, Mr. Alphons?
I think Barkha, I think this is a second historic blunder of the Communist Party. First one, of course, everybody knows. I think they have made quite a few blunders, but if you talk
Can I
about
just
really,
tell an audience that's not of our vintage that the first historic blunder, of course, refers to Jyoti Basu not making a bid for the Prime Minister's post. But go ahead, Mr. Alphons. Yes.
yeah, so I think this is a huge blunder. Shailaja is a very close friend of mine. She's been with me in the Kerala Assembly after I resigned from the IAS. I was an independent member of the Assembly with the support of the communists. So I know the communists extremely well. Now, my question to the Communist Party is: this is extremely unfair to say that she refused the award. No, certainly not. When she was consulted, she would have. She was consulted. That's what I know, and she would have definitely said yes, subject to, of course, a party's consent. I would receive it, and then, of course, party. I think the Yechuri was kind of amenable to the whole idea of her receiving the prize. But I'm told the Kerala faction of the CPM, they put their foot down and said, sorry, no awards. And for the Communist Party, I guess everybody is just a cog in the wheel, and therefore nobody is important except, of course, the chief minister, who is the absolute dictator. I don't think that anybody else matters in Kerala. The fact whether she got a second tenure or not, I think it's a completely a privilege of the chief minister. But let me acknowledge that given the circumstances of the COVID situation in Kerala, she did a pretty good job. I think we in the BJP, we don't really have a problem acknowledging when somebody does a good job. She had done a pretty good job in the circumstances, and therefore I think she deserves to be acknowledged, to be praised, and we have no doubts on that. But there have been, of course, failures. But in a kind of crisis situation, there's bound to be failures as well. Now, let me ask the Communist Party, don't they accept a Nobel Prize? Who was Alfred Nobel? Alfred Nobel is possibly responsible for more atrocities committed in the world than anybody else. I mean, what he invented has destroyed humanity through hundreds of years. So don't they receive Nobel Prize? Don't they accept a Rhodes Scholarship? Don't they know who Rhodes was? Don't they accept Rhodes Scholarships? Therefore, I think this whole thing is, I think, an extremely anti-women dictatorial
Yeah, we lost Mr. Alphonse there, but he's making some very strong comments there. For the communists, everyone is a cog in the wheel. There, you're back, Mr. Alphonse. I'll let you complete your point. We lost you briefly there. You were saying that there are all sorts of other awards which have colonial legacies. For example, the Rhodes Fellowship and so on. I'll let you complete your point and then open it up for the others, Mr. Alphonse.
Yeah, what I was saying is that you see, Nobel Prize, Alfred Nobel, possibly his invention has killed more people in the history of the world than anything else. And Rhodes Scholarship, don't they accept Rhodes Scholarship? Why are they singling out this lady who was a popular person? She was extremely popular in Kerala. She did a decent job. And therefore, I think this is a male conspiracy against women at large. And I think this has to be seen in that background. See, communism in many cases is a bundle of contradictions. In Kerala, they oppose the communists tooth and nail. In all the other states, they are an ally of the Congress party. What are they? But I don't understand. They say they oppose corruption. Now look at them. In Bihar, they are with Lalu Prasad Yadav, who's stolen cattle feed.
Okay,
Thousands of crores.
you've gone into some other space, so let's keep it on Shailaja and the communists. As you said, you make an interesting point. For the communists, everyone is a cog in the wheel. Perhaps I would phrase it differently and say the cadre doesn't allow an individual to shine. Tavleen, can I bring you in, and then Tara, and we'll take back some of the interesting points made by KJ Alphonse. I think there are good points there. The Rhodes Fellowship, which still sends so many students to Oxford, for example, has a colonial legacy. The Commonwealth itself, for which India is a member, has a colonial legacy. The fact is that I don't know if anyone really believes that Magsaysay being anti-communist is a singular reason that Shailaja has not accepted this award. How do you look at this? Is this the left being illiberal? Tavleen?
Well, I think the left is illiberal by nature. Okay, I'm not a fan of the communists, and but she herself has said that she hadn't accepted. That's what the first reaction was, because she said it was a team effort, and she felt bad taking it as an individual thing, and I share that view. Secondly, I'd like to say that, I forget about whether Magsaysay killed communists or not. He's actually given more lefties in India awards than than anyone from the right wing. I think other than Satyajit Ray, most of the people who've been given awards by Magsaysay, I mean, the committee that controls the awards, have been either left wing or semi-left wing, and some of them have been actually awarded for stopping the progress of India. So, I'm not very impressed with this award. And frankly, if it was ever offered to me, I would say no, on the grounds that a lot of very bad people got it. Journalists.
But isn't that a separate argument? Isn't that a separate argument from, whether you agree with the
No,
ideology
it's
of an award or who it honors? Isn't that a separate ideology from the fact that Shailaja has been individually diminished?
We're talking about this award. She hasn't been diminished. I think that she's risen in the eyes of, certainly in my eyes, for saying that it was, meant that she was working with a team. So as an individual, she didn't want to. It's like if you were given an award, it's given to the Mojo Story, and you're very, very happy to accept it on behalf of the Mojo Story. So, you would be embarrassed if they just gave it to you for something that the Mojo Story had done. So I share that view, completely. And to emphasize, I don't know why we make such a fuss about this Magsaysay award. Look at some of the people. I don't want to mention names, but people who've stopped dams being built, who've stopped cities being built. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Of course, I know you're talking about Medha Patkar. There's not difficult to guess who you mean.
She has not actually been very constructive in the story of India. And there are other people, there are journalists who I wouldn't give them, a Panchayat Award, and they've been honored mostly for defying India, for actually saying that India is not such a good story,
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not actually, I would refuse the award if it was offered to me for a.
Interesting. Okay, but the larger contradictions, Miss Mollah, as flagged by KG Alphons, still remain. I'll allow you a brief interjection, and then I want to get Ranjana and Tara in. Go ahead, ma'am.
See, to say that a number of people from the left have got the award is different from leaders of a political party, particularly the left, particularly the CPIM, accepting the award. They're two different things. Yes, there might be leftists who might have got it, but we do not have control over them. Right.
But isn't that
It is
the
not
point?
our
You have
party.
control over Shailaja.
Shailaja.
You have
No,
control over Shailaja.
control
That's the
doesn't
point.
mean no. You're distorting it, Barkha. Control in the sense, Shailaja, Comrade KK Shailaja is a responsible party leader, and as a leader, we are saying CPIM leaders have not accepted this award. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, Ranjana, the idea of the individual being the collective. I understand Tavleen's argument that when a team has worked, the team should get the credit. That's fair enough. But when I juxtapose it, and I know Miss Mollah doesn't agree with me, but I do juxtapose it with the fact that the Chief Minister of Kerala got a second term, but nobody else did. Shailaja won her seat with a record margin in Kerala, more than 60,000 votes. Then we don't actually know Shailaja's internal mind, because she's going to say what the party's position is. She's being a disciplined soldier of the party, Ranjana. But does it not smack of a certain, I think Tavleen and Miss Mollah don't agree, of a certain diminishing of the individual and her profile? Ranjana?
Well, it's not one blunder, it's multiple blunders that the shrinking space for CPIM in India, we can see from our youth days where there was a lot of hope with this party, and today where the party is ending itself. And also the second thing is women have no position in this party. I mean, I know of people except for Comrade Brinda Karat, who is a friend of mine, and I think there are so many women who deserve to be on the Politburo of the party, on the important committees of the party. But do you really see them there? No, you don't. So first of all, it's not only that not recognizing individual contribution to the party, because these awards are not for really, for the whole group or a committee or an institution. These Magsaysay award only recognizes individuals. Let's face that. Secondly, a lot of journalists are put at task to really start looking after and studying and researching about individuals they choose. And I don't agree that people who got the award are the people who are against idea of India or who are trying to paint India in a bad light. I think this is a very poor argument, because
Why do you think, briefly, because I need to go to Tara, why do you think the refusal of this award is another example of what you call, quote unquote, the shrinking space for the left?
Yeah, shrinking space for the left, and within left there is no space for women. I can tell you, even the comrade who is on the program today, imagine she has contributed the whole life. Where do they really end, all these women who have worked and worked and worked and slogged for the party all their life? Is party recognizing their contribution?
Okay, can I urge...
just 1 minute, Barkha. Comrade Shailaja is a name above Chief Minister of Kerala today, globally. Wherever I have gone and met people about COVID, they all talk about Health Minister of Kerala. And I don't think party male patriarchs would tolerate that. And Magsaysay is no award for, it's like alternative Nobel for this whole region. And people get it for doing good work, the watermen, the people who fought for civil rights, land rights, civil liberties. I mean, this is not to say that these are people who are asking for rights and rights-based struggles. And the person who tried to
you
work
have connected
for
this to the larger... Yeah, sorry, I'm interrupting you because I need to move it along. Tara, Ranjana makes an important point. Look, all parties are underperformers when it comes to giving women positions of power. The left, by the way, is no exception. The left may say that it stands for more progressive values when it comes to men and women, but their own structure, I'm just going to play these graphics again. There are 15 women in the CPM's 85-member Central Committee, and that makes it definitely under 20%, so not even one third. And in the state of Kerala itself, the Central Committee then proposed that 10% of the state committee should be made up of women, 10% only. And of course, KK Shailaja and a couple of others are, I guess, there are three women. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, in that state committee at this point, there in the 21-member state secretariat. Tara, let's bring you in.
I think
Can we unmute? Yeah.
I think the Magsaysay Award, quote, refusal or denial by the Communist Party to be able to be given to KK Shailaja needs to be seen in the greater context. There is a history of, like you said, not just the left but all parties, but since we are focusing on the Communist parties today, there's a history of not having enough gender inclusion. You have already played the statistics. We have less than 20% women, not only in the CPM, in the CPI as well. So this is a ongoing issue across the spectrum of the left parties. Now, if you look at the AIDWA, first of all, the Communist Party in India is nearly 100 years old, right? I think it was also established in 1925, as was the RSS, right? And it's stunning that both the left and the right have very, very, very few women, under 20% women, under 15% women at both ends of the spectrum. Not that the center does any better. The point is none of these ideologies have served gender well. Now, what is particularly concerning is that if you look at the AIDWA, they have more than 1 crore women members, right? Oftentimes, the left criticism of the right, and as I myself am not a right sympathizer at all, but oftentimes the criticism leveled by the left against the right is that it is inherently disempowering of women by using regressive cultural practices or the past as a way to kind of impede women from progressing, being independent, thinking individuals, empowered individuals. But and it deems itself the more progressive ideology, but it doesn't differentiate gender as a unit at all. I mean, 10% in the state secretariat, 10% is like, it's like a bone. I don't even throw you a bone, right? You're 50% of the population. It's the state with the most educated women. You're 1 crore women in AIDWA, and you cannot find 50% women for your for your positions. So that the KK Shailaja's denial of the award must be seen in the context of the fact that whether it is giving tickets to women, whether the elected women are placed in the cabinet or not, whether they are repeated or not, whether they are given party position. Biju Mol of the CPM recently is a huge controversy, right? Biju Mol, if she had been elected, would have been the first ever district secretary, female district secretary in Kerala of any communist party, which has existed 100 years now, right? And she got out, she threw a fit and got out because of this is her words, right? Patriarchy and absolutely crass denigration of women, right? So I'm not saying everybody is like that. The point is that you've built up a structure which does not recognize gender as a legitimate unit that needs to be recognized the way you might recognize classes.
That's a really important point, but let me bring in KG Alphons on the very interesting observation by Tara that neither the cadre of the right nor the cadre of the left, these are all ideological driven outfits, cadre driven outfits have done very well on the representation to women. But on this specific case, Mr. Alphons, you called Shailaja a dear friend, a colleague, even if across the trenches, Mr. Alphons, go ahead.
I think, Barkha, all political parties have a problem, including mine. I don't deny that. That women in India are capable, educated. Some states like Kerala, they overtake men in education, in abilities, and still they are not provided adequate representation and power. They are not empowered across the board. So it needs change in every political party, including mine. Number two, Tavleen, who is a good friend of mine, Tavleen has written about me when I was a district collector. My district became the first 100% literate town in India in 1989, and I got many awards as a district collector. Tavleen, when I got the award as a district collector, I get the award, but actually it is an award for the entire district of Kottayam. When I was commissioner DDA and I knocked down 15,000 illegal buildings, I got many awards. I had 36,000 employees working under me, with me, and they all share. I got the awards, but we all share the glory of that. And therefore, you need an individual to lead the effort, and that individual is generally picked up for success, and that individual only represents that total energy and effort and teamwork. So it's all about teamwork. So I really wouldn't turn down. I mean, Tavleen is a very
And
good
what for
friend.
you, I'll go to Tavleen in a moment, but Mr. Alphons, what for you is the biggest contradiction of the communists when it comes to KK Shailaja?
I think, see, communists talk about empowering individuals, human rights. If that is so, what they have done now is suppression of human rights, is suppression of the individual achievement. Without the individual success, without individual dreams, does anything happen in this world at all? I think the Communist Party talks about freedom of expression, talks about individual achievement, but what they do collectively is suppress the right to even think. Forget about getting rewarded, even to think about it. I think it's a whole bundle of contradictions the Communist Party is,
Let
in
me bring
thought
it.
and in action.
Yeah, Tavleen, let's bring you in. 2 points there. One, every member of the team can't be represented. The leader sometimes is awarded. And what's wrong with that? It's an interesting and valid, I think, point by KG Alphons. The second, look at the statistics of that representation. And again, I have to underline again and again, this is not a problem particular or peculiar to the left. This is a problem across the board. But there are parties who have now stated that we'll give 1/3 tickets to women. Even if they give them losing seats, that remains a problem. But this is not good representation within the party structure. So you have a powerhouse like Shailaja, and then you don't even keep her in the cabinet, state cabinet. Tavleen.
You know that I'm not in the front line of feminism, as you know, and I am actually very disappointed with the women politicians that we have already in Parliament, for instance. I haven't heard any of them, I mean, I'm generalizing, raise women's issues. So I don't see the point of women. Of course, the Communist Party is a kind of a different sort of party, and nobody is allowed to rise above the party. Or so they say, right? But and maybe they should be encouraging more women to come into their committees, etc. But what has been the contribution of women? I don't see this as a feminist issue, because actually, when they get to Parliament, these women, what have they raised? For instance, Bilkis Bano, which you and I've been very upset about, right?
Yeah.
How many women in Parliament have talked about her? Why have they not come out and stood under Gandhiji's statue, as they're so given to do, for such an important thing, right? So, I mean, if we're going to have women in politics, then they must be there for trying to bring about some kind of gender justice. So, I mean, you've widened it. That's why I'm going there. But certainly, to me, I saw Shailaja's personal comment on this in the beginning. I don't know whether she was, brainwashed by the party to say what she did. But, I respect her for saying, I don't want to take this because I feel that the whole team should get it. That's her choice. Right.
Well, I think the larger
made a particular attack on me on a poor argument and all that kind of thing. I don't think you should talk like that. Make your own argument, but it's very rude to say, "Oh, that's a very poor argument," because that's not how you can have a civilized debate.
Okay. Here's the point. Of course, there were two women politicians who eventually went to the Supreme Court in the Bilkis Bano case, Subhashini Ali of the left, Mahua Moitra of the Trinamool Congress. But I see what you're saying. We have not seen women collect across party lines and say, we're going to raise hell unless these men are sent back to jail. And now, as we've reported in the Mojo story, by the way, those 11 convicts have vanished. They have just left. They've left their towns. They've left their villages. So there's a whole lot going there. And women politicians are structurally caught up, I think, in the same sort of sexist structures as men. Let me bring in Tara, and then I'll go back to Miss Mollah on this. Tara, go ahead.
It's ironic to make the argument about women politicians, because we are talking about KK Shailaja, who is a female politician with extraordinary achievements. In the past, as I said, we must view this in context. And if you look at the context, the best chief minister Kerala never had was KR Gaurama, right? Gauriamma. And Gauriamma should have been chief minister. This is the same story playing out over again. She was at the front lines. She was an extraordinary cabinet minister. She was a freedom fighter. She was responsible for the agrarian reforms. Again, it's teamwork, right? And she was slated to be the chief minister, except, they got a male chief minister. The point is that this plays out again and again. And I would like somebody to stand up and say, men are not doing a good enough job. I don't see why we need men in legislature or parliament. The fact is, men are not doing a good enough job. For 75 years, we have had so many problems that are avoidable. Of course, we've made a lot of progress, but there's been so much avoidable misery that have been man-made. I'm sitting here in Bangalore with all the man-made flooding, right? Who'd caused it? The women. And here we are saying, oh, women haven't raised X, and therefore I don't see the need for women politicians. I don't see the need for male politicians at all. That's not the point. The point is we're in a representative democracy, which means that we must have people belonging to statistically significant communities. Their lived life experiences, their voices must be heard in legislature and parliament. A lot of female legislators and parliamentarians have protested. Parliament is not in session. They cannot come to Gandhi statue, and they don't need to come to Gandhi statue in Delhi and protest. They have protested right here in Bangalore. My legislator, Soumya Reddy, came for the protest. We have had, people like Priyanka
Yeah, but
Chaturvedi.
Tara, it's individual. We have to acknowledge that
Yes.
these protests
It's
are
not a
individual
collective.
initiatives. It is not a
Yes.
collective, and there are many reasons for that which we need to discuss separately because it's a deeper problem. There has been a kind of cynicism, of the woman politician not being able to actually speak for gender rights unequivocally across party trenches. Ms. Mollah, can I bring you in? I need to start taking last comments. Beyond the Magsaysay, the issue of representation within the party,
I'm going to talk about
yeah,
that.
go ahead.
So before I talk about that, Barkha, if I heard right, Mr. Alphons said that that he doesn't think Shailaja has refused, and that Shailaja has told her that.
Mr.
Did I
Alphons,
hear
would you
that correctly?
like to clarify that your impression is that left to herself, Shailaja would have accepted this award?
Of course, I know Shailaja very well.
Yeah.
She's my
So
friend.
I think
This
this
is a
is
complete.
like,
No, one
okay,
moment.
okay.
It's a complete lie. Shailaja was consulted, and then she consulted the party, and they said don't accept it. So Shailaja personally was all for accepting it. So this is a complete lie by the Communist Party.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you finished? Now, I would like to say that this is very unfair on Comrade Shailaja. She's not present here. And I'm presenting the official view of the Communist Party of India, Marxist, that the award has been refused on principle, and and Shailaja, Comrade Shailaja has herself refused it, and you are saying that she would have accepted. So this is like questioning her
Why does she
integrity.
have to consult? Can I ask, why does she have to consult the party?
She's a
She's done, she's
member.
earned,
She's
she's
a
earned her spot.
member.
She wants to
No,
accept an award.
listen, she's not a mere individual. She's a central committee member of a responsible party called Communist Party of India, Marxist. Let us go now on to representation. We have here Dr. Ranjana Kumari also, and she knows, and both of us, our organizations and many other organizations have been fighting, have been struggling for reservation in decision making bodies for like 25 years now. We have been fighting, right? But our fight is not only for decision making bodies as in parliament and assembly, but our fight is also within our respective parties also, and that fight is also on. It's
But for
not
that,
as if
ma'am,
we are, yeah,
for
but
that, ma'am,
there is one
sorry.
more thing I would like to say about that, Barkha. There are two issues here. One is women's representation either in the party or in decision making bodies, and sensitization on the issues of women, so particularly the left parties, and among them particularly the
But can I just
CPIM.
say,
You will
for
find
that
there
you
is
have to
not an issue
recognize.
on which CPIM has consistently taken a progressive stand.
Okay, I was just going to say that to fight that fight, and I know that that's a fight that women in all spaces fight, including in politics, you have to recognize the sexism within your organization as well. It is entrenched. You can't say it exists everywhere outside, but it doesn't exist in my party. That's my only humble submission.
Did
KG
I say
Alphons,
that?
no, I'm
I
just,
said we
yeah.
have been, Dr. Ranjana, Kumari and I, we have been fighting for representation in decision-making bodies
I heard
in,
that.
in in parliament and assemblies
Okay.
and in our respective parties also.
Okay, thank you for
That's what
that.
I
KG
said.
Alphons, you wanted a brief interjection. I'll give Tara and Tavleen the quick last word. I've got to close. Mr. Alphons.
I think it's very simple. I think Ms. Mollah has made it very clear. The individual is irrelevant in her party, and that is what this decision shows. Very sad.
Okay. Tara?
I think it's important to recognize this in the context of what is happening. It is also important to recognize that the women within the parties, like Ms. Mollah pointed out, they are fighting within their own parties for adequate representation, for a voice, to be able to speak. We should not equate what happens outside with what happens inside. If I work for a company and I'm against the policy of the company, and if I go outside and talk about it, I'm going to be fired summarily. I have to influence inside, and that is good leadership. So it is not that these women, whether they are from the BJP, whether they are from the left, whether they are from the Congress, they're all fighting internally to say what happened to Bilkis Banu is wrong. I'm not saying every single one of them is fighting. Way more of them are raising the voice than you'll hear outside, because that's the right thing to do as leaders. They have to convince the party. Now, if the party male leadership that already doesn't give them representation, and they are 10-15% of the voices, doesn't recognize their voice and doesn't go outside and allow them to make the statement, they unfortunately have to abide by it, just like you and I have to abide by our companies. We must realize that, and we must
And
not
and some of us, no, I see what you're
spokespersonship
saying.
as feminism.
Two points there. Some of us are not in politics because we don't know how to kowtow to a larger ideological line that the party dictates us to, and some of us have made breaks with our organization when we've stopped agreeing with them. So both of these things are possible, but of course those are individual journeys. Tavleen, last word to you.
Come back to the subject, because this was not meant to be about women's liberation or women's representation. It was about her decision to refuse an award. Now, if it was her personal decision, good for her. If the party forced her not to take it, that is very bad. And, nobody should be allowed, no political party should be able to impose that kind of repressive decision on any individual, whether it's a woman or a man.
Well, I guess we'll never know. KG Alphons says she's a good friend. She would have taken the award had the party given her the green signal. Miss Mollah says completely otherwise. But there is a larger, very intriguing conversation for another day about the profile of an individual vis-a-vis the profile of a party. There's an American idea of the individual. There is a leftist idea of the collective, and even the rightist idea, as Tara pointed out, a very similar idea of the collective. We leave it there. Thank you very much to our panel and to our audience. See you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.